Welcome in, everyone. Big audience today. I am the Crypto Bull God, and this is all in the charts. If all 1 million of you appreciate the content, please hit the thumbs up button. Drop me a comment. And click that bell icon for all notifications to know when I go live on the YouTube. Feels nice to be back. I was out Tuesday and Wednesday. Thankfully, was pretty unaffected by the hurricane. So South Florida, outside of some tornadoes that touched down, we were pretty unfazed, thankfully. So I woke up this morning like nothing had ever happened. Actually, today was the first day. It's been sunny out here. It was nice outside for the first time in a while. Hey, gonna share a quick recipe with you before we get into the charts here and kind of talk about what's going on. So I made a really good hot red pepper sauce. So I'll give you the recipe. You can make this at home if you want. I grilled up some swordfish, had a little turkey on the side too. The swordfish wasn't enough. But the red pepper sauce, you get a jar. I used Mazzetta, the Mazzetta roasted red bell peppers. Stick them in a blender. Put some grated garlic in there, fresh garlic. Mince up some garlic. You can I put a miscellaneous seasoning in there. You can put some, I don't know if you want to put a miscellaneous seasoning in there. Hot red pepper flakes. And then you need an oil. You need a little bit of oil. You could use olive oil. I used HCT oil. You just blend it up. Salt to taste. And it makes a huge batch. So it should last you a long time. And I had that on top of the swordfish right before this live stream. So it's very good. Guys, a couple things I would share with you. I was trying to think about what I wanted to share with you before we actually start looking at charts here. One of the things to keep in mind as you're kind of tuning into this channel, whatever your reasoning is for tuning in here, it's got to be partly based on the fact that Todd, welcome in, my friend. Haven't seen you in a bit. Good to see you. Super chats are never expected, but always appreciated, kind sir. Thank you so much. Loyal supporter. One of the things I was thinking about before coming on this live stream is your perspective and why you probably tune into the channel, right? So the reason that you tune into the channel is most likely because there's something about my analysis that you value. With that being said, as humbled by that as I am, with that being said, I too am a student just like you. We are going through this journey together, right? There are many things we're going to continue to learn along the way. And what I am attempting to do is to share with you how I analyze the market and just be very transparent with it on how I see things. And then you can kind of use that at your disposal to decide how that might help to formulate your view, right? I'm certainly not here telling you what will happen or what won't happen. I'm here to come in like any honest, logical analyst, and I'm trying to analyze current and past price action, and I'm trying to formulate what do I think is going to happen in the short to midterm here, right? And we know on this channel, I'll use XRP as an example. I'm not telling you that 20 years from now XRP couldn't be worth $20, but we live in the realm of reality, not unicorns and rainbows and leprechauns. Okay, so $20 is unrealistic next year, maybe 20 years down the road, but we're not here focused on what things are going to look like 5 years out or 10 years out or 20 years out. We're concerned about today, how we're going to finish out the year, and expectations going into next year. That is, in my opinion, how you should think about things if you want to profit from this market, right? Because at the end of the day, what is the goal of investing in any asset? Okay, whether you're talking about the stock market or you're talking about crypto assets. The whole point is, if you come into this market well-equipped and educated, that education should pay off. You should make financial gains. You should have some sort of profit to show for it at some point in time, right? That's the whole point in getting in. That's the whole point in investing. If I'm a nerd who spends all this time studying charts and studying different projects, and I have this deep conviction on Caspa, calling it a unicorn because of the fundamentals and the technicals, then if I'm correct in what I'm saying and I am successful at selling, I should make a profit for that. That is our goal, right? So the other thing to keep you in mind, and in the heat of the moment, you may hate me for saying it, but I'm also here to tell you when it makes the most sense to be selling your investments based on the cyclical nature of the market, right? And when I say you might hate me when I come out and say that is because while I'll never be bearish on the sector, very different from that, from the fundamentals, you can be bearish on the technicals, right? So if from a cyclical perspective, once we get to a point where there really is true euphoria, and objectively these momentum indicators are telling us that, if we haven't topped, we're very close to it, it's smart to start selling. Some of you are going to call me stupid. I guarantee there will be people saying that I'm selling too early, and we will be at the pit of euphoria. But again, it's not about picking an exact top. It's about using objective data to tell us when it is most likely to begin selling. Now, all of the data that we have analyzed on this stream, and there's more. If you follow other content creators, other value-added ones out there, and sometimes I drop some names here. I'm not shy about that. I feel like I'm one of the few content creators who is not shy about sharing other value-added content creators out there. I want you guys to be well-equipped with a few. One thing I will say, and I've been very consistent about this all year, there is no part of me that feels this market has topped. You're always, I remember back in 2020, during the beer virus crisis, crash, and when Bitcoin was floating around $10,000, and when it broke $20,000, I saw a post today earlier that reminded me of this. I mean, I have to admit that when we broke 20,000 and we just started riding up to $30,000 and we never got a pullback, I was in a bit of disbelief. I thought we were going to see some pullbacks. It made perfect sense that, after you broke a major area of resistance at 20,000, you'd back test it as support. We never did. We just kept going higher, right? So I was in a little bit of disbelief. And I know the market at that point, there are certain points in time I can just remember the price of an asset or the emotions of the market. And at that time, I know people were not very bullish. They were not very bullish at all. And the market, I would say, if I had to define where the market is at right now, there's a lot of confusion in the market. There are some people who are confident, certainly, who are in a similar camp as myself, who think next year is going to be, going into next year is going to be very bullish. There certainly are people like that. There are people that are just, like I said, confused. I think there's a lot of people confused. There are people that are bearish, okay? Plenty of people that are bearish. So there's really a whole hodgepodge of different market participants at this point. And all I can do and all I can continue to do on this channel is to point to all this objective data. And if all this objective data, most of it from higher time frames, are all pointing towards Valhalla, maybe we have some lower time frame charts we've looked at that are bearish. But if all these historically significant macro charts are either beginning to flip bullish or have been bullish and haven't reversed, why would we change our investment thesis, right? I would argue the only reason you would change your investment thesis at this point is one of two reasons. One, you're giving into your emotion. For some reason, you're just very, you're watching a lot of stuff that's building up a lot of fear in you, right? So you're giving into that. Or you're attempting to come up with some fundamental narrative that's going to completely shift the market, right? Maybe you're trying to predict a black swan event. Black swan events, by definition, if you understand what a black swan event is, you don't see it coming, right? You can't predict a black swan event. It is, honestly, it's fucking foolish to try to predict a black swan event. I think it's moronic. But, you might look at the presidential campaign in the United States and say, well, if Kamala Harris is elected president, the whole market's going to go down. Guys, it doesn't work that way. Like, I got news for you. If you're, and I've said this on this channel before, I might have, strong opinions on who I think should be elected president, but whoever is elected president isn't going to have this monumental impact on 2025 such that it's going to dictate. I mean, people that believe that, it's called being in a herd mentality. You got to objectively evaluate the data and allow it to speak for itself. And as we've evaluated many times on this channel now, we can take a look at CASPA. As we've taken a look, anybody here a Caspinian? As we've taken a look several times now, guys, there's a big difference. I want to just kind of high level. And some of this stuff we may have touched on in the past, and some of this stuff we may not have touched on, but I think it's good for everyone, regardless if you've heard it the first time or second time, to hear it at least once, if not twice. What happened here when price, again, we're going super high level. This is a monthly chart, and we're just going to exercise logic. That's all we're doing. Thumbs up for everyone new tuning, and would appreciate the support on this small, teeny tiny YouTube channel that I have. Now, back in 2013, when prices came up to 1,100, we quickly, within a matter of a few months, fell down to 300. So we had around a 70% correction. And then we never really got much higher than that. We got up to 600 and then rolled right over several months later, right? We couldn't sustain price levels up at that level. When we got up to 19,666, what happened? We immediately got rejected. And we were all the way down at 6,000 in that descending triangle, and then had a breakdown towards 3,200. I remember that very, very well. I think 31.25. I don't know if this is the right exchange or not, but 31.22 here. Okay, bit stamp. This was a little bit different. This was an irregular correction that we've spent a lot of time talking about. If you study Elliott wave principles, you would understand what an irregular correction is. This is an expanded flat correction. But, we came down here. But once we rode back up to the $69,000 area, what happened? We got quickly rejected, and then we had a swift downfall all the way down to the $20,000 to $15,000 area, right? What has been occurring here? Looking at just exercise logic. Looking at this pattern, evaluating the past and current, would be a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 candlesticks. This is 8 months now. What has price action been doing? It hasn't. If you compare it to previous price action here, even here, we didn't talk about here for sure, and here, guys, come on. Look at how much different the price action looks here. Clearly, the ones in red circles are distributive, okay? Massive corrections, smart money selling, dumb money buying. That's called distribution, okay? This is clearly accumulation. I don't know how else. I've tried so many different ways to illustrate to you why this is accumulation and why this is not distributive behavior. If this was distributed behavior, we wouldn't be maintaining this $60,000 area. We would be all the way down here trying to hold around $47,000, right? And more than likely breaking down, okay, if we were down there for too long, right? This is clearly accumulative in nature. And we've also spent time, again, just basic TA. I mean, this is clearly a bull flag. Like, there's no arguing that this isn't a bull flag. I'm not making this up. This isn't what I hope to see in the chart. This is a pattern that historically, in hundreds of years of price data within stocks, when it shows up, there's an associated probability of breaking to the up and downside. I don't know what the exact probability is. Maybe there's a great website out there. Of course, being an actuary, I'd really want to understand the underlying data and what's supporting that. But anyway, maybe the probability is 70% to the upside and 30% to the downside. We'll use it as an example. Or maybe it's a 60% to 40%. But the whole point in me sharing this with you is because this is just factual information. And if you're going to base your view of the market on something, wouldn't you want to base it on something objective and probabilistic, right? Wouldn't you want to buy into something with a higher probability of churning to the upside than the downside? I'm not going to pull up the chart because it is a dumpster fire. But we spent a lot of time talking about Casper and why the probabilities were in the favor for a major breakdown in price once we broke that 2.8, I think, to 3.2 cent range. The thing's down, barely holding on to a penny. And it's not certainly because I hoped to see that or I wanted to see it. It's just, it was probabilistic, guys. It was probabilistic. Again, this could break down. There are no certainties in anything. This could absolutely break down. But there is a much higher probability this thing is going to break up. And then when you start to, and again, a lot of times on this channel, we talk about confluence. When you consider this view and then you start lining up all these other views that we've evaluated and they're looking bullish, I mean, what the fuck does that tell you? You know? Just because something isn't playing out within the relative time fashion, then you first hypothesize, guys, I told you, I felt this market was had a good likelihood of topping this year. I said that, right? Clearly I was wrong, right? But you have to always remain humble and ask yourself, okay, I was wrong. What could I learn from this, right? And I've shared with you, okay, I've spent quite a good deal of time this year studying the global liquidity cycle and how that kind of pairs up with election cycles and the Bitcoin cycle. And that's helped in many ways to formulate my view of my expectations next year, right? This is what we do as analysts. We learn along the way. Remember, at the start of the live stream, I said, I will never be a subject matter expert in this. I'll get better and better as I go along. I should. But I'm a student of the game just like you are. We are on a learning journey together. And I'm just here to share with you what I honestly see within the charts. And there's going to be mistakes along the way. There's going to be times when I'm very right along the way. We had a live stream one time where I went back in time and shared the times I've been majorly correct and majorly wrong. I think it was like a 3-to-1. 3-to-1 majorly right to majorly wrong. So that's all we can do on this channel. And then the other thing, before we start hopping into a few other charts, baby Huey, dude. I love the trolling. The other thing that I do want to share with you is one of the things that and I'm going to try to articulate this a little bit differently. Let me ask you a question. In traditional stock market, buying and selling, okay, if you're anywhere around my demographic, if you're in your 40s, your 30s, when you were growing up and you were investing, what were the predominant things that you looked at to invest in a company? Well, most people in the stock market, and many people still today, they evaluate PE ratios. They evaluate these fundamental metrics, right? Of course, there's traders out there. You have a lot of people analyzing that sort of stuff. That makes up the demographic makeup of the market. Let me ask you a question related to this. What is the demographic makeup of the crypto market? I think this is a fundamental question you need to understand to best align your portfolio. And it's something for me, again, being a student of the game, being humble and recognizing that I'm going to learn just as much as you, my viewpoint has evolved. If I had to define the demographic makeup predominantly of who is in this market today, I would say it's individuals on the younger side, younger than I, 20s, 30s, even younger than 20s, 20s, 30s. Investors, many of whom are very impatient. A lot of people who love leverage and love trading. Gamblers mentality. People who do not want to work a 10 to 5 and are looking to make financial prosperity for themselves in order to not collect a W-2. People who love to, man, I don't even know how to quite define this. People who, not cults, but people who love to have certain factions and social groupings, okay? Social groupings. I'm not sure how else to define it. I'm losing my words. The whole point is, if you understand the demographic makeup of who comprises this market, that's going to help inform you in many ways of what percentage of your portfolio should be allocated to certain investments. If your entire investment portfolio, we'll call them the utility boys. If you're a utility boy, okay, and all you're doing is investing in things like Algorand and XRP, and you think these things are going to change the future 10 years from now, like, your investment gains are just not going to be as good as someone who recognizes the market a lot better and understands that things like social tokens and meme coins are a big deal. NFTs were a big deal a couple years ago. In many ways, I believe meme coins or social tokens are going to be, in some ways they'll start to get integrated, I believe, but it'll be interesting to see how the industry plans out. But right now, where I'm going with this is, and I've been hammering home on this so much, you need to have a portion of your portfolio in meme coins. This is something you never would have heard me say a year ago. Never. But that is where some of the biggest communities lie, where some of the greatest passion in the space lies. Cult, tribal mentalities within these meme tokens, right? The question you need to ask yourself is, how can you prosper most by next year, if I'm correct, and we top next year, going into next year, how can you prosper most? The question is in what's going to be world-changing 10 years from now. Now, clearly, you could be invested in something if you have a huge fundamental thesis and you do think it's going to be around years from now, and it has a very strong chart, and it's got a great community. Like I said, it has great technicals. I would put Caspa into that category. It's a rare combination of fundamentals and technicals. Okay? I truly believe, based on my understanding of the technology, that it once and for all does solve the trilemma problem. It's going to take some time to catch on. It's a newer asset. But the technicals are great. The fundamentals are great. There's a great community. KRC, smart contracts, just got developed recently. So there's a lot of upside there. But you really need to take a hard look. And again, in my opinion, time is running out. I told you, I think a week and a half ago, I was pretty much expecting the first few weeks in October to be pretty non-exciting, okay? Kind of going sideways, nothing super exciting. I do not believe we're going to see some major upside until we start getting into November, right? But time is running out, in my opinion. Whether Bitcoin, we can take a look at the 12-hour chart here. Whether Bitcoin decides it wants to bottom right in this area at this high or low, or it wants to come all the way down here to 57,500, the whole point is we've begun structure here, and we've got to start to clear 68 to 70. But we have the beginning stages of our higher highs and higher lows, okay? We got this higher high for the first time, okay? Now we just need to take out this guy here at this, it's about $70,000 area, right? But, you know, having been here for years, I'm just saying that when the market decides it wants to move, it moves. Let's take a look at current price action here. And by the way, let me see who else I have into the live stream. HSB, nice to see you. Thank you. Jake. Dude, we just looked at Cat. That comment irritates me so much that we'll look at it very quickly. This is the CASPA BTC relativity chart. This is CASPA's price performance charted against Bitcoin's price performance. Now, obviously in the earliest of days with a lower market cap, we had a huge upswing. What have we been doing here? Looks like a massive consolidation. In fact, I'd argue one could make an argument. You got a pole here. Well, that's a nasty looking drawing. Well, one could argue you have, I mean, really one big massive pole and a pennant. I mean, one could certainly argue that. But regardless, we've just been consolidating within a tight range. Bitcoin's sort of been lackluster. CASPA's been very lackluster. Chart is not wrecked, man. You want to see a wrecked chart? J. Kim, and I know you've been on this channel quite a few times. You want to see a wrecked chart? The only guy that I watch on Crypto Banner whose TA I really like and I like listening to him is Kyle Dupes. And Kyle actually, I listen to it in the mornings from time to time when I'm up kind of doing my own thing. And somebody asked about the chart of Casper, and it was nice to hear another logical technical analyst look up the chart. I mean, he looked at this and just said it looked horrific. It looked like a dumpster fire, right? This is a wrecked chart. This is a god-awful chart, okay? The Casper chart is not that. This is a wrecked chart, okay? This is the Casper BTC relativity chart. This is Casper charted against Bitcoin. Dear God, this is horrendous. I mean, if you've lost money no matter where you've bought this thing. This has just been horrendous. So that is wrecked, my friend. On the 12-hour, we're still maintaining this higher low here. I would love to see price action maintain relativity around where we're at now. It would allow these moving averages to still kind of look the way they look right now, which is great on the 12-hour. Of course, we want this 12-hour to continue turning around because that's going to bleed. That momentum's going to bleed over into the higher time frames. Right before the stream, interestingly enough, I was looking at the daily, and I don't like to see the price action on the daily that I've been seeing. And this is why it's important some of these lower time frame charts start to clear up. Price has been spending too much time under this 200 simple day moving average. We need to see a strong push up towards $64,000. Why is, my apologies, as you can see, I haven't updated charts in a little bit. This is red. Red for resistance, green for support, blue are the higher lows that I've shown you guys the past several weeks. I don't like the price actions under the 200 SMA here. We need to start pushing up towards 64,000 and maintain it. That's also going to allow us to get a golden cross. Now again, as bearish as it is that we're under the 200 simple moving average on the, which is a major moving average on the daily, we haven't done this, right? Once we capitulated here, we didn't continue rolling over. That would not be good, right? We quickly started to regain momentum, right? Really evaluate this chart unbiasedly. We had an awful capitulation area here, but what happened since that area of capitulation? We've rebounded very nicely with higher highs and higher lows, right? That isn't up for debate. That's just a fact within the chart. Now, something else that I wanted to share with you guys, and I've probably articulated this very similarly, but I want you to understand that if you believe, I want you to understand this, and you're entitled to your view. You're entitled to believe whatever you want to believe. This is Bitcoin dominance. We're going to focus on price action. Now, every single time that dominance has gone on a big run, Okay, you can see the bottom in 2018 here. Actually, we should start here. We were way up here, and you can see, let me see how I want to depict this, actually. I could just do this. You see this big drop after we were at high levels up here? This is when the market bottomed, okay? We had a big run up into here. This big drop in dominance is when the market bottomed, or topped, excuse me. I meant to say topped back here. So when we had a huge drop in dominance, the market had topped. When we had a huge drop in dominance, the market had topped. What are we doing right now? Dominance is, again, moving up, just like we did here, just like we were up here. So what you're implicitly acknowledging, I just want to make you aware of this. If you're telling me that the market has topped, then what you are implicitly stating is we are about to do something we have never done before. So instead of looking at these three major events, right, or I guess two major events, instead of looking at these two major events on this chart and saying, oh, okay, every time dominance has been really strong and gone up and then had a big fall, that's when the market topped out. This has happened twice now on this chart. So what you're telling me is we're not going to do the same thing now. We're not waiting for some big drop in dominance to tell us the market is somewhere. Don't pay attention to the time frame. The market is somewhere topping here. No. The market's actually going to top as the Bitcoin dominance is going up. I mean, that's your call. That, to me, that's illogical. You're not, again, buying and selling, investing, trading, it's all about probabilities. And so what you're telling me is you'd rather take the less probable scenario, which makes zero sense to me, right? This is, on top of that, we're in a massive rising wedge. And again, if you were paying attention to how I define the market is broadly made up of participants, in my humble opinion, that are extremely impatient and believe that they should be able to make a 10x in a day every day, right? I've seen ridiculous posts on Twitter or X, ridiculous regarding certain things. Gambler's mentality, unrealistic expectations. We can't allow a chart pattern to just play out. It's a rising wedge. It has a much greater probability of breaking down than going up. We just looked at history and said when dominance is going up, it then flushes down. When it's somewhere bottoms, that's when the market has topped. Again, it's all probabilities. It's not certainties. I'm not here to tell you exactly what's going to happen or what will happen at all. Literally, I'm just interpreting the data and aiming to share it with you in a way that it makes sense and you understand what is most and least likely. That's all this is about. I don't think I really had anything else. I kind of wanted to talk about market psychology for a bit and just share my thoughts on the market in general. This market just gets way too over-emotional at times. Way too over-emotional. Nothing has changed in this chart that should be leaving you feeling bearish. So we shall see. Allow things to develop. Again, we're sitting on October 10th. It's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday to my mom. We're sitting at October 10th. And again, I'm not really expecting anything significant to start picking up until maybe the week of the 21st or the 28th, at latest November 4th. So somewhere around these 3 weeks here, I'm expecting momentum to begin picking up. Again, just using past history as a precedent. So we shall see, everyone. Until next time, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, let's all spread awareness, carry the education forward. Be back with you on Monday. Take care.